This podcast is brought to you by Revival, Book 1 of the Unveiled Book Series.
Welcome to the AI Analysis Podcast. Today we're into deep space with our friends at the Final Frontier Podcast.
It is going to be quite the journey. We are leaving the atmosphere and heading straight into the 23rd century to look at a pivotal moment in sci-fi history.
Absolutely. But before anyone starts worrying that we're about to recite star charts or, debate world core physics, I want to set the scene. We aren't just analyzing a TV show, we're analyzing a conversation.
Yeah, we're basically hanging out with Jake and Justin, the hosts of The Final Frontier, and their special guest, Sosa.
And that dynamic is really what makes this so interesting. You have Jake and Justin, who are deep in the lore, and then you have Sosa.
Also known as the Brick Wall.
They're
a retired MMA fighter, and this is the key part, not a Trekkie.
Which is such a refreshing vibe. I mean, usually when you listen to breakdowns of Star Trek, it's people who have memorized every line. But the Sosa, he admits he hasn't really seen any of this.
He's got completely fresh eyes. He's looking at 1967 television through the lens of a modern guy who, punches people for a living.
It just changes the whole texture of the critique. Instead of nostalgia, you get this raw, immediate reaction. And today, they're all watching the episode The Doomsday Machine.
A total classic.
And Sosa's immediate reaction to seeing the Doomsday Machine on screen was just hilarious. He called it a basking shark in space.
Which is a surprisingly astute observation for a newcomer.
It really is. I mean, if you picture a basking shark, they just swim with that huge mouth open, filtering everything. That's exactly what this machine does.
Yeah, it's this giant cone-shaped thing, miles long, that just drifts through space-eating planets. It's an unthinking, unfeeling consumption engine.
It doesn't hate you, it just eats you.
Exactly. And Jake and Justin, they brought up some great modern comparisons, too, like the worms from Dune or Unicron from Transformers.
But here's where the guys on the podcast pointed out something that really surprised me. I always assumed this science in 60s Trek was just, made-up technobabble.
Right.
But they highlighted the term used for the machine's hull, neutronium.
This is such a fascinating detail. You're right. Usually sci-fi writers just throw the word quantum in front of something and call it a day. But neutronium actually has real historical roots.
Wait, so this is a real thing?
Well, it was a real theory. The hosts point out that the term was coined by a scientist named Andreas von Antropov way back in 1926.
Hold on. 1926, the neutron wasn't even discovered until the 30s, was it?
Exactly. That's what makes it so cool. Antropov was hypothesizing an element with atomic number 0. Basically, a substance made entirely of neutrons packed so tight there's no space between them.
So ain't a matter that is so dense, so solid, that nothing can get through it.
Right. And in the show, they use this old theory to explain why the Enterprise's phasers just bounce off. It's not a force field, it's just physics. A solid wall of collapsed matter.
I love that. It grounds the terror in something semi-real. So you have the unstoppable space shark, and it's already destroyed the USS Constellation.
Which brings us to the human wreckage found on that ship, Commodore Matt Decker.
Played by William Wyndham. And man, we have to talk about this performance. The crew finds him alone on the wrecked ship. He's the only survivor.
He watched his entire crew of 400 people beam down to a planet, and then he watched the machine just eat the planet.
Just think about the psychology of that. The hosts spend a good chunk of time on Decker's mental state. Today, we'd instantly call it severe acute PTSD.
Back then, they might have called it battlefield fatigue.
And this leads to the biggest argument between Jake, Justin, and Sosa. The logic gap.
It is a gaping hole in the plot, isn't it?
It's huge.
Yeah.
So Decker is clearly unhinged. He's sweating, he's shouting. And yet, because he outranks Kirk, Spock, and the crew, just instantly, let him take command of the Enterprise.
Sosa was so baffled by this.
Oh, he couldn't believe it. He's looking at it from a tactical perspective, like, in what world do you hand the keys to a guy who just got 400 people killed and is clearly having a breakdown?
It's a failure of logic, but it's totally necessary for the drama. But let's go back to William Wyndham's acting, because there's a whole meta layer here that is just brilliant.
It's his secret behind the sweat.
Exactly. So Jake and Justin dug up this incredible behind-the-scenes detail. William Wyndham actually hated this script.
He hated it.
Despised it. He thought the idea of a giant space cone was silly, that the dialogue was melodramatic. So he decided, okay, if I'm stuck in this, I'm just going to chew the scenery. He purposely overacted.
That is hilarious. So he's thinking, I'm going to camp this up. But the result is he looks like a man frantically trying to hold on to his sanity.
It's the perfect accidental performance. His frustration with the script reads as the character's frustration with the situation.
And the hosts pointed out a specific physical tic he does. He's constantly shuffling these little yellow data tapes in his hands.
Yeah, like worry beads.
Right.
Well, that wasn't in the script. The guys reveal that was an intentional homage to Humphrey Bogart in the Caine Mutiny. Captain Queeg rolling those steel ball bearings when he struts.
No way.
Yeah. Wyndham was basically signaling to the audience, hey, my character's cracking up just like Queeg.
That adds so much depth. He's referencing cinema history while fighting a cement windsock.
And speaking of literary references...
The whale in the room. Moby Dick. It is Moby Dick in space. Plain and simple. Decker is Ahab. The machine is the white whale. He's lost his crew, his leg, and now he's willing to kill everyone else to get revenge.
And here's the tragic part. The podcast mentions that years later, Wyndham said he regretted hating the role. He didn't realize until much, much later that he was playing Captain Ahab.
You just missed the connection.
He was so focused on the rubber suit aspect of it all that he missed the Shakespearean tragedy underneath. But honestly, I agree with the hosts. The unhinged version is better.
It's visceral. You believe he is dangerous. Okay, but we have talked about the high-concept drama. We need to talk about the low-budget reality.
The production quirks. This is where the podcast gets really fun.
So the original model for this terrifying planet killer, tell us again what it actually was.
It was literally a windsock, the kind you see at an airport. They took it, dipped it in cement to make it rigid, and then dragged it across Starfield.
And the hosts were just laughing because in the remastered version you see on streaming, they've replaced like 200 shots with modern CGI.
They had to. But it does create this weird disconnect. You have these 60s actors on a cardboard set, and then you cut to this 2024 CGI monster.
And speaking of jarring, the guys had a field day spotting all the continuity errors.
Oh, yeah. The case of the missing Uhura.
She's just gone.
Ugh.
There's a random woman sitting in her chair, pressing buttons, and nobody says a word about it.
And the guards? Did you catch that bit?
Oh my God, yes. 2 security guards standing by the bridge door the entire time. They do nothing. They just stand there modeling the red shirts.
The theory is it might have been a union thing or they just wanted the bridge to look busy.
Oh.
But it leads to the funniest observation about safety protocols.
The radiation suits.
Or lack thereof.
The total lack thereof. They beam over to the Constellation, a ship that's been blasted by a nuclear-level weapon.
Yeah.
And what are they wearing?
Their standard velour uniforms. Basically pajamas.
Right. And they land and immediately say, readings are no... The hosts were roasting this so hard. It's such a lazy plot device. It must be nice to live in a future where radiation politely leaves the room when the main characters enter.
It's very considerate, but we have to talk about the physical action because this is where having an MMA fighter as a guest really paid off.
The fighting. Oh boy. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to break down the Starfleet foo that nearly made Sosa cry laughing.
The veil between her world and the other realm has faded, unleashing magic into the lives of ordinary citizens. Awakening from a 4-year coma, Tori James discovers a world transformed. For some, like Tori, the unveiling ignites hidden abilities. With her expertise in classical languages, she's drawn into a world of thieves and magic. Join Tori on her magical journey in Book 1 of the Unveiled book series, Revival. Unveil your destiny.
Welcome back. We're talking about the Doomsday Machine through the eyes of our friends at the Final Frontier podcast. We left off teasing the combat.
Right, and keep in mind we have Sosa watching this. This is a guy who knows what happens when a fist actually hits a face, and he's watching this fight.
The hosts coined a term for it, Starfleet foo.
Which implies a level of skill that I'm not sure is present.
So there's a scene where Decker tries to take over the ship, and he gets into a scrap with a security guard. And Sosa pointed out this one specific move that just broke him.
The double hammer fist.
Can you even describe it? You interlace your fingers to make one giant two-handed fist.
Raise it over your head like you're chopping wood.
And you bring it crashing down on the guy's back.
It's the most dramatic move in television history. And Sosa is just explaining, if you did that in real life, you would shatter every bone in your hands.
The small bones in your fingers. Gone. He compared it to Dragon Ball Z. It's pure fantasy fighting.
And the security guard takes this one hit and just crumbles to the floor like a sack of potatoes.
It just highlights the difference between stage combat and actual combat. On a small, fuzzy TV in the 60s, you needed these big, sweeping movements.
A quick jab just wouldn't register, but to a modern fighter, it looks like a dance routine.
An ineffective dance routine. But that fight, it sets up the climax of the episode, which shifts the tone from funny back to tragic very, very quickly.
It does. Decker knocks out the guard, steals a shuttlecraft, and flies straight into the maw of the planet killer. It's a suicide run.
And Jake and Justin found some dark humor in this moment. Kirk is on the bridge shouting, "Bat, don't do it!" But the guys theorize that secretly, Kirk is a little bit relieved.
I mean, there's a cynical read there, for sure. Kirk is watching this and thinking, well, that guy's a liability. If he wants to sacrifice himself, maybe it'll work.
And I don't have to do the paperwork for a court-martial.
Exactly. But there's a massive pop culture connection here that the guys made. You've seen Independence Day, right?
Of course. Randy Quaid flying into the alien ship. "Hello, boys, I'm back."
The guys argue this Star Trek episode is the blueprint for that scene. The idea of flying a small craft directly into the main weapon of a massive alien ship to destroy it from the inside.
That is pure Decker. That makes total sense.
So Decker flies in, and he dies. But, and this is key, the lights on the machine flicker. The power drops.
And that gives Kirk the aha moment. He realizes Decker's idea wasn't wrong, it was just too small. A shuttlecraft is a firecracker.
But a starship, that's a bomb.
So Kirk decides to feed the wrecked USS Constellation into the machine and detonate the impulse engines, a 93 megaton explosion.
And the countdown sequence here is legendary. Kirk is on the doomed ship, setting the timer. He has 30 seconds to beam out. And because it's Star Trek,
The transporter breaks. It's always broken.
always. Scotty is down there holding wires together with his bare hands. The tension is just palpable. Kirk beams out with literally 1 second on the clock.
But once the explosion happens, the conversation on the podcast shifted. They stopped joking about the windsock and the bad fighting, and they got into the why.
This is the Cold War allegory. And honestly, this is the most important part of this whole analysis. You can't separate this episode from the year 1967.
No, the Cuban Missile Crisis was just a few years prior. People were doing duck and cover drills in schools.
The fear of nuclear annihilation was just the background noise of daily life. And the hosts point out that the script doesn't even try to hide it. Kirk explicitly calls the machine an H-bomb.
He does. He says, it's a doomsday machine.
Yeah.
He compared it directly to the hydrogen bomb.
So consider what the machine represents. It's a weapon from another galaxy, built by a race that is long dead. It destroyed both sides of whatever war it was built for, and now it's just wandering.
That's a terrifying concept. It's the ultimate weapon that outlived its masters. It doesn't care about ideology or borders. It just executes its programming.
It's a warning. The whole episode is like a therapy session for a society terrified that they had built something they couldn't control.
Which leads to the closing philosophy of the episode, something the guys called constructive destruction.
Yeah, Kirk has this monologue at the end where he's musing about the explosion that saved them.
He says that the explosion of the Constellation might be the first time a doomsday weapon was used for constructive purposes.
Meaning they used a giant bomb to save lives instead of taking them.
It's a very nuanced, slightly optimistic, but also grim take. It suggests that the power itself isn't inherently evil. It's about how you use it.
Are you using it to kill, or are you using it to destroy the things that kill? That debate is still relevant today with how we talk about deterrence and military power.
Absolutely. The technology changes AI, drones, but the question is the same. Can a weapon ever truly be good?
Which brings us to our final thought. As we wrap up, we have to mention the legacy of this episode. Despite the cement windsock, despite the fact that D.C. Fontana, the story editor,
The legendary D.C. Fontana.
utterly hated this episode. The guys mentioned she called it her least favorite.
Maybe she just got tired of fixing the transporter in every script.
Maybe. But despite that, it's a classic. And the host brought up one final mind-bending detail from a non-canon novel called Vendetta.
Oh, I loved this part. This completely changes how you view the machine.
It really does. So in this novel, they explain where the Doomsday Machine came from. It wasn't just a random weapon. It was a prototype built by an ancient race specifically to fight.
The Borg.
The Borg. The cybernetic zombies from the Next Generation.
Which makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Why is the machine a giant mouth? To eat Borg cubes. Why is the hull impenetrable? Because the Borg adapt to energy weapons.
It's a hard counter to the Borg. But think about the implication of that. And this is the thought we want to leave you with.
Go for it.
If you build a monster to fight a monster, you are still left with a monster. The race that built this machine to save themselves from the Borg is dead, gone, but their weapon is still out there, eating solar systems.
It's the ultimate cautionary tale. If you take your hand off the wheel, your solution becomes the new problem.
Whether it's an automated defense system or an AI, if there's no moral agent controlling it, it's just a doomsday machine.
On that cheerful note, that is our look at the Doomsday Machine, alongside the crew from the Final Frontier podcast.
A great discussion about a flawed but brilliant piece of television.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Keep looking up.
The Final Frontier podcast. These are the voyages of Jake Boger and Justin Spur. Our weekly mission, to explore memories of Star Trek's strange new worlds, to recall the search for new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has had the spare time to go before.